Hi, and welcome to Season 2 of Big Sound Small Town, the podcast that spotlights the talented and diverse musicians in small towns and communities. This season we're branching out to include the community of people who make it possible for musicians to be able to perform their music, the producers, the recording engineers, the venue owners, and many others. And as always, the small town musicians. Remember, small town doesn't mean small talent. Hear their stories. Today on Big Sound Small Town, my guest is singer and frontman of the band OLM, Walter Hoyle. Welcome to the show, Walter.
Hey, Sandy, thanks for having me.
All right.
All right, so I guess you want to know about me, huh?
Well, I mean, this is whole idea of the podcast.
Sure.
But we can talk about how pretty a day it is. I don't care. We can talk about anything.
Well, you know, I love talking about me, so
let's
stick with that.
That's great, then. Here we go.
You know, I'm a Cleveland County native, you know, always been into music. I think for the Cleveland County roots, it goes back to it starts with a girl. You know, every good story starts with a girl.
Yeah.
And I had a crush on this girl, and the girl wasn't very interested, but I try and woo over with these terrible songs that I'd write. I was about 14, 15. She was a very nice lady, and she introduced me to her mother, who was in a band. And you may remember her, Nancy Owens, from the band Mama Said.
I was in that band.
Yeah.
I do. I am really familiar with that band.
So Nancy became a very good friend and mentor to me.
Wait, which daughter would that have been?
Heather.
Heather.
Yeah. So, hey, Heather, if you're out there listening, I'm bragging about you, laughing at you. But they were excellent people. They were very good to me. And that it put me in a lot of the right places at the right time. So it started as before I'd go to school, I'd go meet Nancy at the coffee shop or something. We'd just talk songwriting.
How old would you have been then?
16. I was just 16. Barely driving. You know, the first thing I could do when I could drive was
Were you already writing songs before this?
Yes.
Or just to her? Or was this something?
No, I had, I think as long as I could pick up a guitar, as soon as I could strum a couple chords, I was putting my own words to other people's songs and seeing what I could do.
Did you just decide to pick up? What about the guitar? Did you decide to pick it up one day?
No, when I was 10, 11 years old, I saw a VH1 special on Aerosmith, Behind the Music. Yeah. And I knew that there was no reason to go to class the next day. That's what I was going to do. I was certain of it and still feel that way in a lot of regards. But I walked out to Grandpa's house, and he had always had a guitar he always had an instrument for any of his grandchildren. And I was the youngest. I got the last pick. There was a little electric and acoustic. So I picked up the acoustic. He showed me a few chords. And it took many years of picking it up and putting it down before I finally just got determined. And that was probably around age 14, 15. quit holding video game controllers
Right.
and started holding the guitar more.
Right.
It felt good in my hand, and I enjoyed singing. I was never a strong singer, but I really enjoyed it. And I played a little bit of piano. My folks were kind enough to get me piano lessons
Right.
when I was about 11. And the guitar was different. It was just something, it was portable for one. You could walk around the house playing it. You never had to put it down.
True.
And I really fell in love with it. So I've been writing as long as I could manage it.
Right.
Not as long as I could hold it, but as long as I
Right.
could manage it. So again, about that time, I'm meeting with Nancy as 16 years old, and it kind of merges over to come hang out after school
Right.
to the radio station. Mm-hmm. So I got to where I was hanging out at the radio station all the time. After a year or so of just constant lingering, they finally offered me an afternoon DJ job my senior year. So before I went off to college, I had the experience of a paid DJ.
Right.
And, I'd been closely supervised up to that
Of course,
point. They were all my buddies. I skipped school all the time. I was always at the station.
Which was this WGWG?
This was WGWG, Gardner Webb radio station.
So that would have been Jeff Powell.
Jeff Powell, Noel Manning,
Yeah.
Helen Pack.
Yeah, Helen Pack.
Yeah.
Good people.
One of the first jobs I had there, and this really impacted my songwriting, was a guy, Roland B., did a reggae show. And for the very first thing that I ever did on air, Jeff said, I want you to go hang out with Roland, just get a feel for it. I said, I don't know anything about reggae music. He's like, well, you will, And I had a blast, He would do that on, I think it was Tuesday, Thursdays. It was like 11. That was when I first started sneaking out of the house, was going to see bands. I was in love with the music.
That's the rock and roll thing to do,
And it was an excellent experience. And Roland played a big part in my songwriting. He taught me to play on the 2 and 4.
Yeah.
He said, "Don't play like a white boy. You want to do this." And Nancy and I talked about this on a few occasions, but we as Americans, we're so used to that 1-3, 1-3. When you do that 2-4, especially if you can mix it in a song,
True.
it really makes people move and bob
really
their
does.
head. And so my songwriting at an early age, I learned that 2-4, and to this day I write most of my songs in that style. And once the song comes to me or the song finds itself, most of the time it changes to a completely different rhythm and idea. But to find the melody and the idea,
you do it on
just
2 and 4?
The 2 and 4,
really?
just to get that little bop.
Not
always, but
that's pretty cool because actually you're the first of the non-drummers to tell me that.
Yeah.
You're the only one, and there's been a ton of writers through here, and that's really cool.
Yeah, if one of the songs...
And I've heard your stuff, so I know you don't do all reggae.
Right. No, we don't. It's and that's that's a big part of my songwriting too. And I learned this at the radio station early on, that every genre has great and terrible music.
It does.
And
I agree.
One thing, it was a personal mission. I wanted to play what I liked. I didn't want to be a country artist. I didn't want to be a singer-songwriter. I just wanted to be a musician, And luckily, when I moved back to Shelby a few years ago and ran into the guys I'm playing with now, they all adopted that same mission. They were all quick to say, this is a great idea.
That's good.
And when we play shows, that's one of our better feedbacks, is that we like the variety, we like the diversity, because we don't play the same thing. We set out to play the best of all worlds.
That's good. That's a good musical mission, no doubt.
Yeah.
And it's not like just being a total cover band.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with cover bands. I'm not alluding to that in any way. But there's also a lot to be said for exploring as many different genres of music as you can.
Yeah. One of the songs that I wrote several years back, and I've carried with me through the years, and frankly, I'm tired of it, but it's a good song. And we've recorded it several times. It's on our latest recording. And the band I'm referring to is OLM. That is my band. We'll tell a little more about them here in a little bit. But the song in particular has been very successful for us. A lot of people really like it, and it really kind of sums up our mission. It's called Ollie Jones. It's a country song that has a reggae chorus. It has that offbeat feel, and it's perfectly out of place. And that's what we like about it, and I think that's what a lot of other people like about it. There was another song I wrote Same concept called The Muse. It was about writer's block. You can find it on Spotify, iTunes, all that good stuff.
Support that stuff.
It was the same concept, but we took a rock and roll song with a reggae chorus, and it's kind of funny because it's the same song. We just slightly changed the tempo, put some different words to it, and
that's the whole of music, you realize too.
Yeah, absolutely. So we stole that one from ourselves. So I guess that's okay.
Well, yeah, all musicians steal.
Yeah, we
all
borrow.
the way back to borrow.
Yeah.
Still a strong word.
Borrow.
All right, we'll go with that. We can go with that. All right. So, you want to talk about that band?
Yeah, let me tell you about the band. I got an amazing band. 15, 16 years old. I'm playing in a praise band. Guy that I would meet many years down the road, Kenny Cox, was playing in a praise band with me. We went off to college, went separate ways. I moved back to Shelby about 5 years ago. And one of the first things I did was set out to find people to play with. And I ran into Kenny Cox, one of the first people I bumped into. Said, "Hey, man, you still playing?" "Yeah, you still playing?" "Yeah, you playing with anybody?" "Nah." So we got together and started playing coffee shops and doing what we could to put something together. Picked up a drummer that ended up not working out, and that's all right because through that drummer, picked up a phenomenal bass player, Andrew Hewitt.
Yeah.
Was a monster of a bass player.
He is a monster.
We often joke that we have a lead bass player and a guitar player. And we picked up Matt Curtis on drums, which has worked out perfectly for us. We came together with the mission that we're going to do this for the love of music. We want to write our own music, and we're going to make this work. The goal, long-term goal, was to all of us be able to quit our jobs. We know it takes time, and so we've been building at that for the past few years and going to continue to build at that. Once we got the ball rolling, we liked every single band name that was presented to us. So finally, one day, we got fed up with it, and we said, we're going to go outside, and all around Shelby, there's these big discs as a tribute to Don Gibson with one of his songs listed on it. You push a little button, and it plays the song, tells you a little bit about it. So we're going to go out there, and whatever song is on that record, we're going to name ourselves that. We're not going to fight about it. We're not going to argue. It's just going to be it.
That's kind of cool, yeah.
And so we became Oh Lonesome Me. And we rolled with that for a year. Some of our earlier stuff is still on Spotify and iTunes as Oh Lonesome Me. So
let me ask you before we go farther.
Sure.
Did you guys do Oh Lonesome Me?
No, we never covered the song, and we respectfully always declined to.
Yeah.
Our tribute was after his name.
Exactly.
But we're not Earl Scruggs. We're not Don Gibson. We are OLM. We are our own breed of terrible. And so we did that for a year. After about a year, we signed with a small label, learned some tricks and tips. That led us to a management company down in South Carolina, Red Arrow Management, Cliff Witherspoon, excellent guy. We think the world of him. He's been an excellent mentor to us. Even though we're no longer contractually obligated, just the ability to pick up a phone and have a friend in the music community.
Very important.
So if anybody's listening, you have any questions about the music business, I'll give the man a plug. Red Arrow Studios is a great place to start. So one of the things when he started working with him, he said, it's too hard to Google Oh Lonesome Me. He says, you're going to have to do something. And we've already built somewhat of a following. And so it was either pick a whole new name or adapt. So we chose to adapt, and we just cut it down to OLM, prints real easy on a shirt, types in real easy in Google, and that's worked out really well for us. So
you've had a good response to that?
Yeah,
nobody's mind too much about the name change?
It's been some of the older venues that we played at in the beginning. It takes a couple reminders that that's not what we go by. But
fans and listeners okay?
We closed down old social media, opened another one. I think under the moniker Oh Lonesome Me, we'd had around 500-700 followers, and just the other week we broke 2,500 under OLM. So So again, if you're listening to OLM Music, check us out on Facebook and all that social media. That's really cool stuff. It's a good way to keep up with us and what's going on. And another thing that we learned from working with a management company was, a lot of people have wonderful music, but what do you do with it? How do you present it? And before I go any further, I don't have an answer to that. We talked about creative. I know, right?
Man, I was all set for that answer.
But to think creatively. Just to put the music out there is not enough. How do you put it out there? Can you give people an incentive? So this year what we did, once we got all our tunes recorded for this most recent album, Tattoos and Eyes, we released each song off of this album as a single. Each month we'd release a different one, and we could get the feedback from it, and we could
So it was like a 12-song CD?
It's a 7-song CD.
Okay.
We did one cover. We did a cover of Amy Winehouse's Valerie that was thrown in the mix.
That's different.
And so that's been a really fun way of finding fans, because we push a song really hard and we pull some fans from various groups on social media, get friends to share their friends. Then next month we have something brand new. Whereas the traditional way to put out a CD, you push it as hard as you can, but all the material's been released. And it was a really good incentive to push people to come to shows, because we'd sell you the full CD at the show.
Right.
But if you wanted to listen to it on YouTube or Spotify, you can, and I encourage that. We hope you do.
You call it a song at a time, though, is how you were getting it.
Right. So we marketed a song at a time. We have the actual CD for sale. And, like I said, they're all out there, so you can round them up, the ones you like the best.
Right.
And so that's been a good way of doing it.
So you can self-assimilate a CD from the
Yeah, absolutely. You can pick your favorites. If there's one you don't like, you don't have to get it.
That's a pretty good idea. I like that.
So another thing we started doing was we started doing small giveaways. I think the most successful one we did was we teamed up with a tattoo parlor in South Carolina, Lost Sailor Tattoo Studio, and we purchased a $200 voucher for somebody, and we gave it away. We did the like, share,
Right.
leave a comment type thing, and we picked up a few hundred followers from that one. That was a really cool, and one of the favorite songs on this particular album was Tattoos and Eyes. It was just a really cool song.
We wouldn't understand about tattoos, would we?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, really.
And a rowdy crowd in here.
Yeah.
And it's just different creative marketing is that was a big thing we walked away with. And the final thing, the biggest thing was, how you carry yourselves. You go to a lot of shows and you'll see this phenomenal player standing there in his coveralls from where he had just got off work that day. And it's amazing how much image really plays a factor.
The image is everything.
Image is everything, So a bunch of, mediocre guys like us started dressing up in suits, and people started taking us serious.
Yeah. I mean, hey, it's worked for bluegrass music for hundreds of years now.
Man, if it's good enough for John Prine, it's good enough for us.
Exactly. Yeah. You can't argue that at all. So was this a self-recorded CD, or did you go somewhere to do this?
We did this all at Red Arrow Studio. We had Cliff produce it.
Okay, so he has a studio too, a recording studio.
Yeah.
All right, that's good.
Yeah.
So he's just not into management. He also has.
Right, and that is predominantly what he does. We begged him to manage us.
Right, yeah.
He has credentials. He was the original bass player for Jackal, and he's worked with some really stellar artists. You should look him up on your own accord. He'd be happy to talk to you. Just shoot him an email, and he's a super nice guy.
That's cool. See, that's things that people don't know. I mean, people have no idea where people, I don't know, I think they think it's magic how you get these CDs and music projects done. I mean, people don't think about, okay, we live in Shelby, North Carolina. Well, what's our access to places to record our music?
Right.
So, I mean, people like to know that.
Sure. And a lot of just very simple things. Say, I've recorded this great album. How do I put it on iTunes?
True.
Just folks like that can answer these real simple questions, You
need guidance, no doubt.
Yeah.
Sounds like you seek guidance pretty much along the way, from everything from songwriting to the production end of the company.
Yeah, we treat our band like a business. At the end of each month, we take out 30% and split it 4 ways. That's what we get paid as band members. The rest stays to the band. We're going to use it for future recording. Right. The big thing next year, we're going to put out 3 music videos.
I need to introduce you to Kevin Bridges.
Yeah, I know the man.
And see if maybe you could get him to incorporate some of that stuff in his.
So he needs to pay his people a little better?
He pays them fine. But I was thinking that maybe you could talk him into 401ks for us. Or,
oh, man.
No, he pays us fine. Actually, I will say this. between Walter today and John Byrne, we've kind of dogged Kevin because he was supposed to be here as a co-host.
I walked into this.
I will tell you, Kevin. I've played with a lot of people, but I have never had to worry about getting my money from Kevin Bridges from jobs. I'm notorious for when the job is over. I don't have to wait around and get. But for so long, I was the front man of a band, or the person in the band that could do math.
Right.
So
I'm both. You know?
So I had to take care of getting the money for a number of years. Well, it was great playing with Kevin. Now, I played for people, and as you may or may not know, sometimes the pay is not what it's supposed to be, or it's different, or if you don't get it, if you're not there to get it, then it's gone. You know, you don't see it again. But Kevin, bless his heart, and you owe me $200, Kevin. He does. I never have to worry about getting the money. He's great to work with. I'm dogging him, but he's an excellent person to work with.
He's again, when I was my radio station days, I was going to see the Dancing Hobos up at the coffee shop there. Mm-hmm. I still love that song, the Fire.
That's a good.
Yeah. But
all right, so we're coming into 2020.
Yeah.
What happens? What's up next with OLM?
So we just got an album. We got a lot of material. Our goal for 2020 is to obviously play as much as possible. We play almost every weekend right now. We're trying to get to every weekend.
Do you have a booking agent for that?
I take care of all that. So if you're interested in having us, just shoot me a message. You know, again, Walter
on that note,
mm-hmm.
You book other bands? For a fee?
For a fee, I would, sure.
Okay. Yeah. Just trying to get more business for you.
Yeah, sure. I've made a few connections with a few people, and if you wanted some help with that, sure, reach out to me.
For a nominal fee.
Yeah, exactly.
He's got to make a living.
Yeah, I'm not cheap. I'm straight up about that.
See, there you go. I'm glad.
But next year, another goal. We put out this CD. We put out all this material. We're going to shoot to put out 3 songs next year. But the goal behind them is to put a nice quality music video with it so that we can share. People like the visual.
They do.
And, that's something we've kind of missed out on this year. We were, it all takes so much time.
It does.
And like I said, we do treat it like a business. And we sit back and we marvel at the baby steps that we take, but we're so proud of them. A year ago, we bought a van. We finally had something we can all sit in, put all our equipment in, A month or so ago, we finally ditched all the old, used equipment we had all accumulated and bought new sound equipment, quality stuff that we can take with us and sound professional if there's not already a soundboard. And now we negotiate our rates accordingly. Are you providing sound, or are we running this sound?
Well, you do know that you play for free. You charge to sit up and tear down.
Yeah. And it is heartbreaking if you count back the hours that you put into it. And
no, do not do that.
A lot of people, you see musicians. If you're not a musician, it's very hard to understand that it is a labor of love. We only show up because we want to be there. The money very rarely comes back for most of us. But we're very grateful. Our band is covering expenses. We're putting a little bit in our pockets, a little more each month. We're having fun. I think that's the most important part is, man, we're absolutely having a blast. We're going all these places. We're meeting all these really cool people. There's this bar down in near Piedmont called Tribbles. Excellent place. We love playing there. And Nine from Rise Guys Morning Show, 93.3, he's a frequent there. He's a huge fan of the band. We play down there, and he wants to get up and introduce us, and it just makes you feel good.
Oh, yeah, it does.
Have somebody of that stature. It could be anywhere in the world, seeing anybody, anywhere in the Charlotte, Greenville area.
I am not playing in the Charlotte, or in the Charlotte area, yes, but the Greenville, the South Carolina area too much these days. Do they still play all night long?
Oh, man, they have a blast down there.
They still play at 2 and 3 and 4 in the morning?
Yes. We love playing South Carolina. It is amazing. You go across that state line, and they party differently.
They do, and longer.
Yeah, we have a blast. There's this, it's Carolina Western Pub down in Columbia. It's a country western bar, 2-story place, and we are so out of place in this country western bar, and they love us because of our variety. And it goes over well. They have all these college kids come in, and we'll play an hour and a half set. They'll have a DJ stand in for an hour. Then we'll come back, play an hour and a half set. And, man, we have the best time. The kids have the best time. Last time we were down there, we looked out, and they're all singing along to a song that we had just wrote a few months back. We know you don't know this song, but that pretty girl beside you thinks she knows it, so you think you know it.
Good enough.
And we see you think you know one of our songs. That makes us feel good.
True.
You know. You got a question?
Just a piece to me. I never told you any lie. There was something real when we first met. Maybe I was hypnotized by tattoos and eyes. Tattoos and eyes. Waking up now, how this occurred to me. How hard this is for me. It had to be believed. The feeling she got me sitting, swimming, floating in ecstasy. And you would not believe the force of which is stuck to me. Heavy as a rock, kids swimming around, only to drown, gulping on this chocolate drink. That's how it just you out of me. But the voices in my dreams, where they tell me what to think. Hypnotized, I do believe could be mine. Mine. The tattoos and eyes. The tattoos and eyes. What the hell's with those eyes? I can't believe them, and they're keeping me from sleeping. And I'm haunting in my dreams, and I hear the voices speaking. Little demons bothering me. Can they tell me what to think? As they speak into my brain,
You know, speaking of favorite places to play, there's a particular, it's a Carolina Western bar. It's down in Columbia. Carolina Western Pub is the name of it. And we're very out of place there because it's a Western bar. They expect you to come in and play country music.
Sure.
And I think we know like 2 or 3, actual country songs.
So you guys like the Blues Brothers in when you
we joke about
Rawhide?
It is amazing how often we reference that movie.
Oh, really?
And just little jokes, We'll show up, it'll be somebody else's band name on the marquee, and guess, and we're the good old OLM Brothers Blues Boys.
Yeah.
But you just learn to roll with the punches. But, so we go a lot of places, and, a lot of bands have the advantage of saying, we're a rock band, we're a country band. We don't have that luxury because we work so hard to avoid that concept.
Is that harder to book though?
Absolutely.
I'm sure that's a problem.
Absolutely.
Coming from that background to have to, it's an easier road when you define yourself, but if not, then you do have to work harder at it.
Right. But even though it's harder to book, it works in our advantage once we get our foot in the door.
Right. I do understand.
Again, this particular bar is a perfect example. They love having us because we're so refreshing from the norm, and the crowd loves it because it's not what they saw the last 6 Friday nights in a row. Mm-hmm. You find, you get a breath of fresh air.
True.
And we do country. We play with it. And there's a lot of great stuff in country that we steal that idea, and we just put it in the way we like to do things.
Yeah.
And so,
your venues, are we talking mostly craft breweries these days? Festivals, craft breweries?
Anywhere that pays. You know how that goes.
Yes, I do. We can be had for bar mitzvahs and
that's right.
weddings.
Son gets out of prison, you give us a call. We will be there.
Mm-hmm.
We played at some interesting places. There's A lot of craft breweries, they're a pretty good staple. Seems like they always have music, and you don't have to worry about too much there. There's people only drinking beer; they don't get too rowdy in some of these places. We played this place in Lawrence. Had, speaking of Blues Brothers, it had a cable goes around stage, and sure enough, had fishnet that you could pull around. And Matt, the drummer, goes up. He says, "I want a gin and tonic." The lady looked him dead in the eye and said, "We don't have either of those." So, Bud Light.
That works. That's funny. Yeah, that's
So we play places like that. We're trying to break into these bigger venues. We'd love to start opening for some larger name acts.
I've done that. That's about as good as it gets, because if you get to the point where you're a headliner, it's not near as much fun as being the opening act. You can kind of steal their thunder. Sometimes you get booed, but then the other part is you're done.
Yeah.
You're done early, which is good.
Yeah, and I will say one of my favorite parts about this journey is getting to hang out with all these other musicians.
Yeah.
I mean, I've met some really cool people. I've gone to some free shows that I would have otherwise missed. And, once you get the reputation, people are happy to see you there. And
it becomes a little community.
It is. It really is. And I've really enjoyed that part of the ride.
As long as you like musicians. Well, musicians seem to understand musicians. There's others that do understand them. Any females or males who have ever had to be involved with musicians probably get free trips to heaven no matter what they do. Sound men too. But
we're a different breed. We're again, it goes back. We love the music more than most things, I think, and I think that shows. And it can be tough for people around us.
Yeah,
but it makes sense to us.
I mean, it's a blessing and a curse.
It is.
I mean, you wind up being my age and still realizing that you kind of want to do that, and it's way past the time you should be doing that. But I mean, I can give you 100 stories about how music has impacted people's lives both positively and negatively.
Sure.
So
that's actually a great segue into where it all began for me.
Okay.
When I was a kid, my brother was 10 years older and my sister was 14 years older. So there's a big age difference. My brother was a very sick child. He had a rare heart condition, and without knowing the details exactly, it had spread over his lifetime and got to his lungs. And when he was 20 years old, I was 10, he was staying in the Children's Hospital in Philadelphia. My mother was living at the Ronald McDonald House in Philadelphia, which was just a few blocks away. And my father was going up every week. Every other week, he'd take me up with him. He'd take me out of school at noon and drive me up there. So I'd get credit for being in school that day.
Right.
And then we'd drive back on Sunday and be with him on Saturday. And, we got a lot of bad news then. And that's where the music really kicked in. I had a Walkman. And, anytime that's where the escapism starts.
Yeah.
There's a better place. You can ignore it, you can tune it out. And that's when I really fell in love with music. I had these long ride trips with my dad listening to classic rock.
Sure.
George Thorogood kind of opened up the door for blues with House Rent Blues. That turned me on to John Lee Hooker. Led me to Blues Brothers. And I've always joked and said that I'm a blues singer that does other things.
You do have a pretty bluesy voice.
And music, it was my escape, and it was through that traumatic event that, I found what would become my calling. And so it was right after that, let me take piano lessons. And my other son's dying right now. We can't really think about that, In December, close to Christmas, he did receive a heart double lung transplant. This was a huge impact on my thinking as a 10-year-old, because I kept hearing, a Christmas miracle.
Right.
Your brother's alive. It's a Christmas miracle. But I was old enough to understand that somebody else went to a funeral that year. And so the circle of life it was a very mature thought for a child at that time. So I turned to music, and I think that's probably what kind of turned to songwriting too. Just some sort of outlet.
Outlet and expression.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but trauma can be turned to good things.
It can. It can.
And music can do a lot of wonderful things.
It can. It really can. So that's pretty good. Right at this moment, do any of your band members hold down jobs other than being musicians?
Yeah, we're all full-time employed. We do the Monday through Fridays.
Yeah.
And we just eagerly wait till we clock out on Fridays.
It's one of the smarter things you can do, because you'll probably not reach the point where you'll ever be 80 years old going out having to play, because I didn't have a job during all this time but playing music. So I have to keep playing these songs till I die, because that's
right
what I do.
Right. Well, my group's a pretty level-headed bunch of guys. We the goal is to quit the job. The short-term goal is to cut to part-time. Mm-hmm. But we're not going to do any of that until bills match.
That's a good
and that's
idea.
just, it's a reality. But, we live in an excellent spot that we're right in the center of the East Coast. Mm-hmm. And so on any given weekend, we can run up or down the coast.
True.
We have great standing at our places of employment. They're flexible with the hours that we work. So as long as we manage our time, we can take off on a Wednesday and do a weekend
That's
tour.
Good. You're lucky to have that.
And the sacrifice is, hey, baby, you want to go on vacation this weekend? No. we got to save this time off.
Yeah. No, I got to play. No, I can't go. I mean, I can go play 3 jobs, or I can go on a short vacation.
But like you said earlier, it is a toll on the loved ones. That's you don't get as many romantic getaways on the weekends or things like that.
Sacrifices they make. Walter, I appreciate you coming to the show, and I've learned so much. And of course, I wish you nothing but success.
I appreciate it,
Thank
Sandy.
you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.